Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook and other social media stuff. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They're international. There are 40,000 therapists working for them. I've gotten great feedback from people using them. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay. All right. So let's dive into current events because a lot has been happening this week. So we had another school shooting. And currently there is some nut job in Kentucky taking shots at people on the interstate. So there's a big problem here. And it's almost as if everyone is like, oh, we don't see the pink elephant taking a crap in the corner of the living room. So here's the thing, guys. Everyone's making it about gun control. Will that help? Probably to a certain extent. However, what the real issue is mental health. Because I don't know how to explain this to you. But people that are healthy mentally do not generally go grab a gun and start killing people. It just, don't get me started. So moving in the right direction, apparently this kid in Georgia had a very tumultuous life. The dad gifted him a gun that was used in this crime. The mother apparently got a very disturbing text message and drove 200 miles to try to stop him from doing whatever he was doing. So here's the thing. Things do not happen in a vacuum, okay? The kid in, Michigan? Did not happen in a vacuum. There were warning signs that everyone just kind of went, oh, I don't see it. Oh, there's no warning sign. Oh, I'm not looking. Morons. I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of these people going, oh, we had no clue. And I'm like, are you stupid? Let me answer that for you. Yes. You are. There are warning signs. The kid in Michigan, I think it was the kid in Michigan, was drawing stuff on his math homework that was, I have these thoughts, I can't make them stop. Those are intrusive thoughts. That's a sign of early onset, either schizophrenia or bipolar. Hello, with psychotic features. If your kid is saying, I'm having thoughts and I can't stop them, take them to a psychiatrist. For the love of Christ and all that's holy. What the bleep? I'm going to drop an F-bomb. This is an F-bomb. See this F-bomb? My friend Andrea made them for me or got them for me. I'm going to drop an F-bomb. What the bleep, boom, is wrong with them? Seriously, if your kid is showing signs of hearing voices, intrusive thoughts, oddly violent thoughts, wanting to harm, wanting to hurt, get them to a psychiatrist, get them to a doctor, get them help. But you want to know why they don't? Let's talk about this. Okay. Narcissists, and I don't know about the parents, but narcissists don't ever want to admit that their child needs help. Ever. Because if the child needs help, that means they're not perfect. And if the child is not perfect, therefore, the narcissist is not perfect. And I cannot tell you the number of times I will have clients that have got kids that are suffering. The parent that's sane wants to go get them help. And the parent that's cuckoo for freaking Cocoa Puffs, I'm going to drop another F-bomb. I'm going to have to go retrieve them. Boom. Refuses to allow them to go get help. Why? Okay, because they don't want anybody knowing what they're doing. They don't want to be found out. So they think that if they keep the kid from going to get help, that they can still live with that illusion that everything's perfect and everything's fine and I'm the best father or mother ever and blah, 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 blah. That's what they're doing. That is criminal. It is. It literally, because people are dying because of it. So, and here's the other problem. I'm sorry, this is going to be a little rant for me because this hits really close to home for me because I told my teachers what my dad was doing. Do you think they did anything? Yeah, no, they didn't. Where are my F-bombs? Hold on a second. Let me just drop a few more of those because dear God in heaven, they didn't listen. Boom. What a bunch of... Don't get me started. There's mandated reporters, but I'll tell you what, guys, the teachers don't want to take the time to go report it to DCS or report it to the authorities. You know why? Because they're afraid of getting sued. That is exactly what my friend who works as a teacher in Oregon told me when we talked about my childhood and things like that. Now, she reports. She absolutely would report. She'd be like, I'll report them all day long if I need to keep people safe. But she was telling me how other teachers do that they like refuse to go report because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to have to fill out the paperwork, and they're afraid of losing their jobs. I'm sorry, that is massively unethical, like massively unethical. You know, it's like if something goes down, I'm a state mandated reporter. If I see something going down, you damn straight I'm going to report it for multiple reasons. The least of which is, oh, geez, it's a part of my job. No, it's morally what I should be doing. So to me, there's a huge disconnect with the people out there who are having interactions with the kids the longest, the most. Okay. And the parents, okay, obviously this is a divorce situation. Gee, surprise. Wonder what's going on there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like the parents just are so wrapped up in their own stuff. And here's the other thing. I was around guns my entire life. My dad went out and went duck hunting. Okay. We had guns, we had rifles, we had shotguns, we had handguns, we had, you know, the whole thing. I know how to use a gun. I respect the gun. The gun is dangerous. You put a lock on it. You keep it out of the hands of people that could possibly kill themselves with it or kill others. Do you see where I'm going with that? I mean, common sense, not so common. So this kid was gifted this gun. He obviously was having mental health issues prior, ignored, did nothing, didn't help him. And now a bunch of kids are dead. Yay. Now, the other thing that's going on is this guy in Kentucky is taking random pot shots at people driving down the freeway. Again, I would guarantee you there will have been signs. The things do not just happen out of nowhere. It's like people don't just suddenly be like, you know, law-abiding citizen, and then the next day they're like, you know, Jesse James. That does not happen. There are hints. There are clues. There are sometimes blatant, like, gee, I'm having intrusive thoughts. I'm thinking about killing people. Red flags that are being ignored. The mental health in this country is so, where's my F-bombs? It is so this. It is so this. It is so effed up. I am so angry right now because all of these shootings could have been prevented had somebody been paying attention. And that somebody being the parents, number one, and the teachers, number two. If somebody's drawing on a homework assignment that they're going to kill people, you better report that. Okay, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It just, you know, if somebody had done something with my dad, I wouldn't have had to go through what I had to go through with him. But nobody did because they couldn't be bothered. Boom. F them. I'm so angry. There's no excuse. There is no excuse. So anyway, please write your representative, your senator, etc. We need to have mental health training in the schools. The teachers need to understand what constitutes a mandated report situation. I would have to say saying you're going to go kill somebody and you're having intrusive thoughts is a mandated report situation. That's a danger to self, danger to others situation. Doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist, but apparently it does because these idiots didn't catch it. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I am so angry. There is no excuse. None. None. Zip, zero, zilch, nada. And I hope to God that the families of those murdered will sue the effing shit out of the stupid school district, especially if there was homework assignment with that written all over it. You see where I'm going with that? Listen, if they don't understand anything else, they will understand if you hit them in the pocketbook, because that seems to be the only thing they care about, which makes me angry because they should, theoretically in a perfect world, which this clearly is not, care about the lives of the children. But, oh, gee, children don't have money. Children can't vote. We don't care. That's kind of their attitude, and I'm sick of it. So, senators, write your representatives. This doesn't have to be a gun control issue, although it kind of is. But really what the root of it is, state-mandated reporting needs to be enforced. Two, it's just mental health needs to be taught so that people know what to look for. And not just be like, oh, it's uncomfortable, I'm going to ignore it. No, you cannot ignore it anymore. There's too many of these incidences. I'm tired of coming on here at least 3 times a year and going, oh, there's another shooting. Oh, somebody else died. Oh, well, it could have been prevented. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. So anyway. All right, there that is. Okay. Today's topic, sorry, just went off on a tangent. Today's topic is about what is up with that nice act. Why do they, horrible. And then all of a sudden they're really nice. Now, let's go back and do a little bit of review here. Okay. So abusers, let's think about this. If abusers were abusive all the time, nobody would have anything to do with them. That's why they do the intermittent positive rewards. Sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're not. And sometimes they do it back and forth to keep us stuck, okay? Now, they will never do anything unless it has a payoff. So let's say that you have finally left the abuser. You're done. You've done the whole abuse cycle. Let's review that for just a moment. The abuse cycle is like a clock, okay? Like an analog clock. So, 12 o'clock is where you meet them, and it's love bombing until about 3 or 4. And then suddenly the devalue and discard starts. And then at about 6 is when they get really abusive. Then you threaten to leave. And then the love bombing starts all over again. Now, the problem of it is, and they get very nice, etc. Oh, baby, I'll change. It'll be different this time, blah, blah, blah. The problem of it is the more times you go back, the shorter and shorter the love bombing gets, and the longer and longer the abuse and the devalue and discard gets, and the nastier. So it's kind of like, if they're being nice, it's for a reason, and it's not because they've changed. So let's talk about that for a small moment. The fondest wish of every alcoholic is that we can just drink whatever we want and walk away and, not get to the point where we black out. Unfortunately, that will never happen. The fondest wish of every person dating or involved with a narcissist is that they will change. That too will never happen. They, listen to me now, believe me now, do not, listen to this, change. They don't change. They don't change. Leopard does not change its spots. They will change momentarily if there's eyes on them, if the court's eyes are on them, or if they're under psychiatric care or whatever. But as soon as that supervisory eyes are gone, boom, they go right back to what they were doing. They do not change. So what I've seen in a lot of court proceedings recently is that the narcissist realizes that all of their stuff is not working. Their intimidation is not working. Their nastiness is not working. Their lying, cheating, stealing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then they flip into Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy. Like super nice, super accommodating, super this, super that. They can't give it up for very long, but it's with a purpose. So remember, narcissists never do anything unless there is a payoff. And generally, everything they do is a manipulation. So what is it they're hoping to get by being nice? So what I've seen in court proceedings is that they'll be horrible to the ex, right? But then the second they get in front of the judge, suddenly they're respectful and, oh, I would never do something like that. I'm the kindest person ever. And da 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 da. The other thing they do is it's an ego defense thing. So if they are truly violent, which let's face it, most of them are, they will put on the persona of being the polar opposite from what they really are on the inside. Okay. So for example, somebody who is just self-centered, selfish, etc., vicious, mean, cruel, they may be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Donating to charities and things like that. And look how good I am. But they always want to be known for what they've done. The truth of the matter is if somebody's going to donate, you do it in anonymously. You do it. You don't go looking for accolades. But these people look for accolades. They look for, oh, look how good I am. See how good I am. I'm doing all of this. Okay. And it's the same thing in a divorce case. They'll be like, oh, but I'm at the school and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Very kind of covert narcissism it is. But remember, narcissists can weave their way through the different types of narcissism to get whatever it is they want. So they can't accept that they are heinous. So they like to have this fantasy story that they're this kind, wonderful person, but it's really with an agenda. So you always have to look, and especially if your ex suddenly flips into being nice, you really want to look at how are they trying to get you to lower your shields? What are they trying to get? What is the goal here? What is the payoff? Because they never do anything without something for them. What's in it for me? That's really what they're doing. So, and the nice thing also, the nice in quotes, also keeps us stuck because that plays into that fantasy of, oh, there's that person I loved. Oh, there's that person I fell in love with. Oh, there's that real person. No. Take a deep breath. That is not the real person. The real person is the person that's been such a horrific person and abusive and nasty and vicious and mean and a name caller and a liar and a cheater and a gaslighter and a rewriter of history. That's the real person, not this love bombing, suddenly nice thing. Now, what I've seen them do is before the divorce even happens, when they realize their spouse is serious, suddenly they're very reasonable. Oh yeah. Oh no, you're right. You're right. I need to work on myself. Very vague. They're never like, specifics. It's always very vague. Oh yeah, I need to work on myself. Oh yeah, that would be a great idea to talk to somebody. Follow through, people? Never happens. Or if it does, they get somebody who does not know what they're doing, somebody brand new, and then they, go back to their almost ex-spouse and make up stuff. I've seen them do that too. Oh yeah, I'm in therapy. Yeah. Well, who's your therapist? Oh, well, it's such and such. And then I go to look them up, they're not there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, the nice act is an ego defense mechanism if they're doing it to get attention, okay? So like they don't have guilt. So it's not like they're massaging their guilt, but they're trying to present this very curated persona of who they are so that when you do go to divorce them, that they can be like, oh, but look at all of these philanthropic things that I've done and look at how kind I am and look at, da. And again, people don't see what goes on behind closed doors. That's the thing. So it's very important to not get hooked into the nice act. It's for a reason. They are looking for something. Oftentimes, when they suddenly flip into the nice act, it's because they don't want their supply to go. So this is usually in the very, very, very beginning of the end of the relationship, like when the target of abuse is fed up and done. And then, a week or two goes by and they start the hoovers. Oh, well, we should talk. Oh, okay, you should talk to my attorney. That should be your answer. But there's that part of us that wants them to be okay. That's why it's so vital to work on codependency. Really work on the codependency. Really work on the inner child, because that inner child and that codependency wants them to be okay. We want everybody to be okay. Let's face it. I would love for this world to stop being stupid, because then I could retire and I could go to the beach. I would love that. But it's not. So we do this thing where it's like, oh, okay, they're going to get better. And no, they're not. They're liars, sweethearts. If their lips are moving, they are lying. If they're saying they're getting help, they're either with somebody that's not real, like doesn't exist, or they're with somebody brand new to the field that would not know they're a-hole from a hole in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So you got to watch for that. So they usually do that in the beginning of the breakup because they do not want to lose their supply. Securing a supply for a narcissist as they get older is difficult because people are on to them. generally by the time you reach your 40s and 50s, people can kind of see the behavior and are kind of like, okay, now how many wives have you had? How many husbands have you had? Oh, 6? Oh, common denominator? That would be you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's they don't want to lose their supply, so they'll flip the script. So here's the thing, guys. If your person, okay, has ever done any of the red flags that I've ever talked about with narcissism, do not fall for the nice act. They are not ever going to change. So let me give you an example. Several times recently, I've had people finally decide that they were done, right? And when they finally decided they were done, it's because there was something physically violent that happened. So, what abusers will do is they do this intimidation violence, is what I call it. And they'll do things like throw things at your head, right? But miss, but just by like, inches. Or they'll do they'll punch the wall right next to your head or your body, or they'll punch the couch where you're sitting, or they'll things like, it's like almost violent for sure, but not a physical assault yet, kind of thing. And then that's it. The person says, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. And then about a month later, they suddenly come back, Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy. And let me be very clear, female narcissists do this too. Female narcissists physically attack their spouses. I've seen it. It's awful. I hate it. It makes me angry. And they do it, and when the kids are around, which just, and then they say things about, oh, look what a coward your daddy is, and things like that, because they're verbally abusive, they're physically abusive, they're emotionally abusive. Men do it, women do it, they all do it. So basically, they don't want to lose their supply. Okay. And so once they realize that they've gone too far, they will do the whole Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy routine. Oh, you're right. Oh, we should talk. You don't need to call the attorney. Let's work this out. Let's go to couples counseling. Oy, you do not want to do that. Listen, guys, when they do the physically intimidation violence thing, when they've thrown something at you, or when they've hit the wall next to you, or they've hit the couch where you're sitting, or they've, broken something that was very important to you, okay, they're not going to stop. If you go back to them, the next thing they are going to hit is going to be your body, your face, your body. They're going to hit it with either an object that they've thrown at you or their fist. Okay. I've seen it before. I don't want to see it again. Not that I've seen it in person, but reported. You know what I'm saying? So the thing of it is that the nice guy act after an act of violence cannot be trusted. Let me say that again. The nice guy or girl act after an act of violence absolutely cannot be trusted. And let me clue you into something. Name calling is verbal violence. Let me say that again. Name calling is verbal violence. It is. It absolutely is. So if you're calling your significant other the C word and the B word and every other word in between, that's not love. That's not respect. It sounds more like abuse to me, so that is verbal violence. That is still a form of violence. And then if they do the nice act afterwards, they're not sorry. If you ever notice, the nice act usually comes with a narcissistic apology. This is what I want you guys to really drill into your heads. A narcissistic apology is never taking responsibility or doing any actions to change the behavior. So in other words, they've done something heinous. They've thrown something, they've said something, they've, destroyed something, they've done something, right? And then they realize you're done. And then they do the nice act, and then they do a narcissistic apology. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you made me. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry, or I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. They do the crocodile tears. Here's the thing, guys. I've seen them so many times do the crocodile tears. It never, the emotion never reaches their eyes. Ever. I've never seen it reach their eyes. ever. They can act, they can do the sniffling and the quivering voice, but it never reaches their eyes. And sometimes they don't even actually cry. That's the interesting thing. That's when that happens. That's when I'm like, interesting, there's no tears, So they'll do the narcissistic apology. And of course, we are so into that codependency and that wanting them to be okay and wanting us to be okay and everything else that we're like, oh, relief. Oh, thank God. Oh, they're they're really sorry. Here's the thing. Healthy, normal people do not throw things at each other. Just doesn't happen. Healthy, normal people do not punch the wall next to somebody's head. Healthy, normal people do not call each other horrible names. Healthy, normal people do not sabotage. Healthy, normal people do not lie, cheat, steal, gaslight, rewrite history, etc., etc., etc. These are all deal breakers. Do not take them back. Just because they're doing the nice guy or the nice gal act, do not take them back. They will tell you anything they think they need to in order to get their supply back. All they care is that they have a punching bag. That's all they're looking for. You are nothing more. You mean nothing more to them than this pen. And when this pen outlives its usefulness and the ink is gone, they toss us. They absolutely toss us. We mean nothing to them. We're objects. So for them, no, Moana, you don't need that pen. No, put it down. Put it down. Thank you. Thank you. I just was tossing it for an example. Okay. Sorry. She was like, ooh, you threw me something. Did I get it all? Hold, please. There's one more part over there. This is what I get for tossing things. Hang on. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, there it is. All right. Anyway, the point being is that we mean nothing more to them than this pen. And when our usefulness runs out, when our ink runs out, they toss us. They replace us. So an apology is not in the words. Okay. So when they're doing the nice guy or the nice gal thing, the apology is not in the words. The apology is in changed behavior. But they can't do that. And they will never do that. And they think that by doing the nice guy, gal act, that we're going to fall for it. And we very often do in the very beginning because we're so desperate to get relief and to have that person be okay and to have us be okay and to have things go back to the love bombing and the person that we fell in love with and all of that good stuff. You cannot fall for that. Actions speak louder than words. Always. Never forget that. So they may suddenly be doing the nice guy, nice gal thing, but if in the past they've thrown things, they've yelled at you, they've raged, they've screamed at you, called you names, lied to you, cheated, stolen, whatever, those weigh more than whatever nice guy or gal act that they're doing. And you cannot forget that. Now, something I want to point out is that they will hoover for years. Okay. One of the questions I did get is, when do they stop? And I'm like, they really don't. They'll stop if it's not paying off, which is why it's so important for all of you who have been through abuse to work on the codependency. So the codependent book that I like is Facing Codependency by Pia Mellody, or The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. We got to break that. We can't fix them because we did not break them. Not our job, beyond our means. Can't do it. It's not in my wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? So you want to work on that. You also want to work on your self-esteem. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Okay. People with good self-esteem do not put up with this kind of crap. Seriously, we just don't. You also want to work on CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. What attracted you to them in the first place? How did this happen? Who's the nice guy you're hoping they'll be, or the nice gal that you're hoping they'll be? Who does that represent? Who is that really? Those are the questions you want to start asking yourself. So the nice guy, nice gal act is an act. It's not real. Actions speak louder than words. Consistency speaks louder than words. If they are consistently nasty, that's who they really are, not just the every once in a while popping up to grab air and be nice. That's not real. Who the real them is the consistent them that's constantly vicious, mean, nasty, lying, cheating, stealing, calling names, abusing, hitting the wall, threatening you, intimidating you, frightening you, etc. That's the real them. And that's what you got to remind yourself of. And it's really important to stay out of that cognitive dissonance and that fog, fear, obligation, guilt, because you do not want to let your guard down and go back to them. Because if you go back to them, it's going to be worse. Like I said, the abuse gets longer and longer, and the honeymoon, the love bombing gets shorter and shorter, and they're emboldened. So you got to understand, if they hit the wall, next time they're going to hit you, because now they're emboldened. Oh, they let me get away with that. What else will they let me get away with? That is literally how they think. We're talking dark triads, psychopath, narcissist, Machiavellian, control freak. But that's literally how they think. It's a game to them. How much can I get away with? How much can I do? How much will this person let me abuse them? It's a game. It's a game. So anyway, there is that. The nice guy, nice gal act is just that. It is an act. You want to look at the overall behavior. How consistently have they been nasty? Have they done any of the deal breakers? Ooh, yeah. Have they, tried to hit you? Have they tried to throw something at you? Have they tried to whatever? So do you see where I'm going with that? So beware of the nice guy act, especially if you're in the beginning stages of leaving, because they don't want to lose their supply, and they will do whatever they think they need to in order to get you to stay. But it's usually a bill of goods. Oh, I'll change. Oh, I'll go to therapy. Oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm so sorry you, boo hoo hoo, I'm so sad, but they're really not. Changed behavior. If somebody calls me out on a behavior, I change my behavior. I don't sit there and go, I'm sorry, and do the same behavior over and over and over again. You go, ooh, crap, you're right. Let me change that. I am sorry I hurt your feelings. I am sorry I did this. I own it. That's what a mature person does. I own it. I did it. I'm sorry. It will not happen again. Let me fix this. What do you need for amends? That's an apology. Anything less than that, it's BS. Okay. All right. Let's go to the questions. Okay. When an enabler parent dies and the aging narcissistic parent is left, do they take it out on the adult child as a way to take revenge on the parent who died? It's like the narc loses it when this happens. Yeah, they absolutely. So as narcissists age, they lose all of their power. They do. So they're losing their looks. They're losing their money. They're losing their power. They can't physically intimidate anymore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they have a spouse that was an enabler, that person was very, very codependent with them, okay, and catered to their every whim, which is exactly what a narcissist wants, right? It's like, wipe my hind end. Okay, and they go and do it. So when the enabling spouse of that relationship dies, the narcissist is enraged for several reasons. Let's talk about how much narcissists don't like death. Narcissists absolutely are terrified of dying. Why? There's no control. We don't know what happens. I don't know where we go. I have some guesses. Hope I'm right. But, it's like we don't have any control. And narcissists will fight aging tooth and nail, especially if they are a somatic narcissist. So somatic narcissists are all about the body. So they're the ones who overdo the Botox, overdo the hair dye, overdo the makeup, overdo the sexy dressing. They're 80 years old. They're dressing like a teenager. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? So that is... aging narcissists start decompensating. They just can't. And if their enabler dies, it enrages them. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you die? Who are you to die on me? Seriously, they're not like, oh my God, I miss my spouse. Oh my God, what am I going to do without them? That does not go through their heads. They're angry that person is no longer there to serve them. So yeah, they absolutely do that. And they will absolutely take it out on everybody. It's not just the kids. I told you this story. I'll tell it again. When my mom was in the care facility, there was a woman down at the end of the hall. And she was an absolute collapsing narcissist. Absolutely. She would snap her finger at the staff and she would yell at them and scream at them and expect them to wait on her hand and foot. And it enraged her that they wouldn't. And I'm glad they didn't, because she was not a good person. So this person thought that that's, how she deserved to be treated, was to be treated like a queen, and she wasn't getting what she wanted. And so she would just sit there and stew and rage. And she took it out on everybody. She screamed at my mom one day and my mom put her in her place. And I was like, that's where I get it from. So, it's like, I was proud of my mom, because my mom would never stand up to my dad, but she was able to stand up to that woman. So that made me very happy. So yeah, I mean, the woman was just nasty and she hated everybody. And that is who they are, guys. They do not love. You know why? Because love involves respect. And respect involves stepping the hell out of your own GD ego. And they can't do it. They won't do it. They refuse to do it. So yeah, they take it out on everybody. And they're just angry at the world. Angry at the world. Plus the fact it's a reminder to them they're going to die. They don't like that. It is a reminder to them that they're going to die. The rest of us, it's like, okay, yes, we have a limited time on this earth, which sucks, but, enjoy what you got, go have fun, that kind of thing. Enjoy the people that are around you. Narcissists never do that. All they can see is the glass empty. They never see the glass as refillable, So, meh. Yeah, they take it out on everybody. It's not just the kids, but they will take it out on everybody. Absolutely. Okay. What happens if the target of the narcissist stops caring and stops contact as the narcissist starts stalking and threatening the victim? Well, they can. So let's talk about that. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. Going no contact. Oh, and this is something I wanted to talk about that I forgot to talk about last week. So I was talking about bullies last week, right? So oftentimes our very first bullies are our own family. What the hell? So narcissists encourage kids to turn on each other, right? So if you are in a family that is a bunch of bullies and they're mean and they're passive aggressive and they're, vicious, mean, nasty, not nice, not encouraging, not supportive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the question I want you to ask yourself is, thank you, Heather. The question I want you to ask yourself is, if you were not related to these bozos, would you have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, you go no contact. You act accordingly. And you wash your hands of them. You owe them nothing. Zip, zero, zilch, nada, not a damn thing. Just because they're family does not mean you need to take their abuse. Okay? You don't. I don't put up with abuse from any of my family members. Not that very many of them would. There's one that I absolutely have gone non-contact with, but it's like, you don't have to put up with it. Just because they're family does not mean you owe them. Okay. If you would not let a stranger treat you that way, why the hell are you letting these people do that? So you go no contact. Now that folds into the question of what happens when you go no contact. Well, it depends on how crazy your narcissist is. Now, if it's your garden variety narcissist, a lot of times you can, what's the word I'm looking for? You can make them go away by making it boring. Okay. Narcissists need drama and chaos the way that the rest of us need oxygen. Okay. So if you make it boring for them, if they're like always trying to stir the pot, always trying to create drama, always trying to do stuff to upset you, always trying to, and you're just like, yeah, yeah, you done? Oh, okay. They'll get bored because it's no fun for them, because they can see that they're not getting under your skin. That's what they want. They want to see you, enraged and upset and worried and scared and everything else. That's what they're looking for, because that is their cocaña. That is their narcissistic supply. That's what gets their rocks off. Okay. So when you go no contact, okay, if you make it boring for them, eventually they'll go away. Now, when I say eventually, it could be anywhere from immediately to a year, you know, they'll go away because it's boring. They're not getting what they want. They can't figure out a way to get under your skin. They can't figure out a way to get drama or whatever. If, however, you are dealing with a dark triad, those are the dangerous ones. Let us talk. So the dark triad, again, is a narcissist combined with a psychopath combined with control freak. Yay. Those are the dangerous ones. They cannot stand losing. No narcissist can. But they have this overdeveloped sense of revenge. And if you throw some borderline on that, on top of that, that makes them very dangerous. And they're more likely to be the stalkers. So there's this oversensitive, or not oversensitive, overdeveloped sense of revenge. Okay. They need revenge. They need revenge. And it's this very, how do I explain this? You're dealing with somebody who's operating on the emotional level of a 2-year-old. Okay. When you're dealing with a dark triad, you're dealing with somebody on the emotional level of a 2-year-old, and they want revenge. So it's kind of like tit for tat, talionic thinking. Okay. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Right. And what the stalking is, it's an attempt for them to regain control, to make themselves feel powerful, and to make themselves feel, that they, can create emotion in you. Again, it's that God complex kind of thing. So what they do is they will stalk. Yeah, absolutely. If they're crazy enough, they will stalk. They will damage personal possessions. They'll start stalking. They'll leave notes on your car. They'll show up at your work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they do that, though, you have to understand, you are no longer a victim. You are not. You have things that you can do. So the first thing I would do is get together all of your evidence. So one of the things that stalkers like to do is that they start with text after 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 phone call after phone call after phone call after text. So what you're going to do is you're going to just do screenshots, and you're going to get all your stuff together. You're going to send them a text that says, I am now blocking you. I no longer want contact with you. Please do not contact me anymore. And you screenshot that you sent it, and then you block them. Okay. Now you've got a paper trail. Now you can show the court, they sent me 516 texts in a 3-day period, sometimes in a 1-day period. I let them know I do not wish to be contacted anymore. There you go. You also block them on social media. You block them on the phone. You block them on your email. You block them on any way possible to contact you. Apparently, WhatsApp is now being used to stalk people. Dear God, what the hell? You block them on WhatsApp. So you block them wherever these jerks are finding a way to get to you. And you document, you show, hey, they contacted me on this app and I blocked them. And now look, they've got a different profile and now they're contacting me here and I blocked them. And do you see where I'm going with that? Then you're going to go to your local courthouse and you're going to file for an order of protection. And basically, you just bring all your evidence with you. The clerk will help you fill it out. It's really not that hard to do. And you go before the judge and you explain to the judge what's going on. And generally, and it depends. It goes in cycles. So like sometimes it's really easy to get one, and sometimes they're very reluctant to give them out. It depends on politically. I know everything's political. If I had my way, oh my God, it'd be so different. Anyway, but it's political. And so sometimes they're really good about handing them out, and other times they're very reticent to hand them out. But if you have all of your evidence together, it's more likely that they're going to give you an order of protection, especially if they've been showing up at work, especially if you can get your boss or your security guards to verify, yeah, this person's been showing up and leaving, notes on the car and this, that, and the other thing. So you get an order of protection. Now, an order of protection is just a piece of paper. You must call the police every single time it's violated. And if any of the police officers give you any guff about that, you get their badge number and you report them. I'm not kidding you, because there's been problems here in Gilbert with the Gilbert police being like, oh, we don't, no, mother clucker, you need to do something. This is your job. Okay, thanks. So yeah, you get their badge number, you get their name, and you report them, you file a complaint. And don't be afraid. This is the thing. We as survivors of abuse have learned to be very intimidated. We've learned to be very afraid of authority. We've been learned to be very afraid of being made wrong or fun of. And cops are really good at doing that, usually because they're narcissists. So I'm serious, guys. Let's face it. It's like, who's attracted to positions of power? It's narcissists. And who often gets to be a cop? Somebody who's a narcissist. So you cannot be afraid. And that's what they're counting on. That's what those teachers are counting on, is for somebody to be like, oh, I guess they're not going to do anything. And of course, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. If I was an adult, I would have been like, Mother Clucker, you're going to get on that damn phone and you're going to make a freaking phone call, you stupid. Don't get me started. Do you see where I'm going with that? So they count on intimidation to not do anything. Make them do something. They work for us. We don't work for them. There you go. I like to say that. I've said that to politicians before, because I'm just like, guess what, council members? You work for us. We don't work for you. They did not like that. And I was like, dealing with a narcissist. Okay. Do you see where I'm going with that? So yeah, you want to get your ducks in a row. You want to get your documentation together. You're going to get a restraining order. You're going to call every time they violate it. I strongly suggest, whatever your state allows, get pepper spray or mace, whatever your state allows. I think in Arizona, they only allow pepper spray. Take self-defense courses. That truly helps with your self-esteem and your working out and feeling like you can protect yourself. I mean, there is nothing more empowering than dropping a 350-pound, 6'5" man onto the mat. Seriously. So, yeah, you want to do that. You want to be able to feel like you're safe. And then you put Ring cameras up around your house. Okay. Make sure there's one on the driveway, one in the backyard, 2 on the sides, so that you've got it covered so they can't sneak up on you. And you've got, again, documentation. Look, it's on camera, it's on tape, it's being saved. There you go. So generally, when the intimidation doesn't work is when they stop. So a lot of times, all it takes is a restraining order. Seriously. So they get the restraining order and then they're like, oh, what? Wait, what? This person's going to fight back? What? Like, they don't think we're going to fight back. That's the thing. They think we're just going to lay down and take it. And so by getting a restraining order, you're basically going, line in the sand, Mother Clucker. Your move. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes just getting the restraining order is enough. Now, if it's not enough, okay, now you're really dealing with a total psycho killer kiss-cassette. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Because usually the restraining order is enough to make them back off. Because it's kind of like they realize there's going to be repercussions if they continue the behavior. So if they are continuing, you call every single time. You make sure you have your pepper spray. You are aware of your surroundings. You let as many people around you know what's going on, so you've got a bunch of eyes on it. So for example, I had a stalker. I've talked about this before. And all it took was getting a restraining order and the person stopped, because they knew. They knew I wasn't going to put up with it. And they knew I would call the cops anytime anything happened. And they knew that they were going to get in big trouble, because the next step would have been a personal lawsuit. So you know what I'm saying? So, and I told all of my neighbors. All of my neighbors knew. And my next door neighbor, Mike, bless his heart, he'd come over and he'd be like, okay, I saw this car and this is what they looked like. And does that sound like you're stuck? You know, seriously. So this is why it's good to have good neighbors. So anyway, there is that. Let me see if we have anything else. Can a narcissist be embarrassed or ashamed? Not really. They can be called out on what they're doing, but rather than going into embarrassment or shame, they usually go into rage. So as soon as they're called out for bad behavior, they will usually jump straight into rage and start flipping the script. You know, it wasn't me, it was this other person, or it wasn't me, it was you, or, you know, whatever. No, do they have a huge amount of shame? Well, that's one of the theories. I don't buy it. I don't think they really feel what we feel. I don't. And I think if they get called out for bad behavior or a lie or, you know, whatever, it kicks them into rage because they've lost control. They are no longer controlling the narrative. They are no longer, you know, being able to curate this image that they have, if that makes any sort of sense. So no, I don't think they really are able to be embarrassed or shamed. I think they go straight into rage. And it's all about control. It's not about, they literally, here's what you need to wrap your head around. And this is really hard for people to get. it's not about them going, oh my gosh, I've done wrong. They will never do that, guys. That's what embarrassment usually is. It's like, oh, I've done something wrong, right? Or shame. Ooh, I'm a bad person. Ooh, that's shame. They never do that. What it is it's about power and control, and it's about curating their image. So if they're embarrassed or shamed, that will kick them into rage because they've lost control of the narrative. That's really what it is. So there that is. All right, let's see. Do we have anything else? No, we don't. Oh, my puppies are barking at somebody. All right. So next week, I want to go into the inner child and why it is so vital to start a really good, healthy relationship with your inner child, because you want to be making decisions as an adult, not as a 6-year-old. So we're going to talk more about the inner child, and especially the inner child in court. So I want to talk about why you got to get that under control before you head into the courtroom. So that's going to be part of the conversation as well. All right, you guys, go have a wonderful week. Drink plenty of water, stay safe, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.